Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
I think we got the talent. So I think we'll be a real good team, a good tournament team, national power. With Jerron, Dante, Grantham, Sean sitting out, and then Guard, Avery, got some good pieces to the puzzle. I think that was the last part.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from downtown Columbia after a hot, sizzling May afternoon in the Palmetto State. A little taste of what's ahead for us this summer. Hope you enjoyed the day. And now, kick back, relax, and join us here on Sports Talk as we come to you from Main Street, Columbia. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, Professor Tom Hayes, the State Man Graham Pope, all together once again for you. If you want to become parts of the party, 800-956-7266, direct line in. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at SportsTalkSC, the Twitter timeline, the Sports Talk SC Twitter timeline humming with so many subjects today, K-Mac.
Well, I mean, I discovered stool pigeons, bar stool sports.
Pigeons.
I didn't know they existed, but apparently those guys decided they were the ones behind the arrest at the NFL offices today. Some guys decided to hang up themselves together in Patriots jerseys to protest the NFL suspension of Tom Brady and the punishment of the Patriots. But
today was the day for the outspokenness of people. Because you had Bobby Bowden at Florida State saying something that got Florida State fans on edge. And then Ulrich Jones, future USC football player, had something to say about Deshaun Watson's comments about not going to lose to South Carolina the rest of my career. So that kind of got everybody fired up.
Well, yeah, he's tweeted about it. Shaq Lawson responded. Connor Mitch has chimed in a little bit. So it's May 12th, but the football juices, at least on Twitter, are definitely very strong
what happens when
right
the weather
now.
heats up.
Yeah, late November can't get here fast enough as far as I'm concerned. That's going to be
work out against each other. I mean, whatever it takes. I mean, it's great. It's great to follow these guys
we'll
on
know
Twitter.
where Everett Golson is going by late November.
I would think so. In fact, Jimbo Fisher was talking about Everett Golson.
Everett Golson was down in Tallahassee Monday, and Jimbo Fisher said no promises are ever made at Florida State, but they are putting the ball in Everett Golson's court, and he said they're up front with all their quarterbacks. And Sean McGuire is crying right now.
There's not a phone call to be picked up. I mean, look, I know he's now a graduate student, but he's a graduate student with a year of eligibility, which means to me a recruitable athlete, which means to me that a coach should not be talking about him.
Who knows what rule comes into play there. I'll say this about his comment that promises aren't meant for. You don't think Jameis Winston was promised lifetime supply of crab legs from the local Publix there in Tallahassee?
And Bobby Bowden ought to know about embarrassing things at Florida State because things went on there while he was coach.
We'll talk about all that coming up right here on Sports Talk. Welcome back. 800-956-7266 is our phone number here on Sports Talk. Couple of quick items, and we'll get to your telephone calls. Baseball tonight, South Carolina at home against Upstate. Gamecocks playing their final home games. They are 30-22. Upstate is 14-35. And it will be the freshman Cannon Cropper starting for the Gamecocks today. No record, 2.25 ERA for him. I'm pretty sure this is his first career start. I have to go back and check to be sure, but I think it's his first career start. Eric Birkland, sophomore right-hander, to start for Upstate, 1-3, 5.91 ERA. 7 o'clock first pitch over at Carolina Stadium. Clemson at Fluor Field tonight against Furman. Tigers at 27-25, Furman 23-28. You know what this means? You know, Clemson's got 3 at Florida State beginning on Thursday, so should they lose this game tonight, staring at the potential of a losing regular season. When's the last time they had a losing regular season at Clemson? Have to look that up.
They almost hit 25 losses before they hit 25 wins for the first time ever in program
I don't think
history.
in my professional lifetime
I can't remember.
they've had a losing season. I'm going to have to look that up. Losing regular season.
Yeah.
Pitchers tonight for the Tigers and the Paladins will be as follows. Clayton Schmidt for the Tigers, and it will be Ryan Morse going for Furman. He's a lefty. Schmidt is a righty, and that's a 7 o'clock first pitch up at Fluor Field. College of Charleston is underway as we speak. The Cougars are 13th in the new RPI, the NCAA RPI. That's the highest in the state. Coastal not far behind at number 18. Yeah, could Charleston get a host if they win tonight, win the rest of their regular season games, sweep the upcoming CAA tournament, which will be at their place? Why wouldn't they be considered for a host role unless the NCAA deems their facility not good enough to host?
Patriots Point?
I mean, I don't know that.
It's Charleston.
Don't know how they would look at that, you know. But
it's Charleston.
In terms of deserving it on the field, you'd have to make a pretty strong argument that they do deserve that, and maybe even Coastal. If Coastal wins the rest of their games, their RPI climbs into the top 15. Now they do have a facility, brand new, which was built for the purpose of hosting regionals and regional crowds. So, you could see if South Carolina in particular makes the tournament, you could see the Gamecocks sent to one of those places, and that would certainly be ideal for all of us. Sent to one of those
ideal
places.
For those teams, though. They would not want South Carolina at their regional.
Well, I think they feel like even though South Carolina, let's see now, they beat Charleston in Columbia, but they went down to Coastal and they were defeated, I think. Didn't Coastal beat South Carolina?
I think it was a slugfest that night or something.
Yeah. What else? DJ Swearinger has a new home, right? He was signed by the Buccaneers, am I
Tampa
correct?
Bay, he is now a Buck.
Mm-hmm.
Jungle Boy Swag in Ybor City. I think Steven Garcia is going to reunite with him. It's going to be a great thing.
That's going to be just dandy. Story on Steve Spurrier by Tony Barnhart. He was through Columbia, swinging around the SEC, and he talked about his history with Spurrier over the years, doing a story about his age, and he said that he'd never believed Spurrier would be coaching at age 70, but he still is, of course. He's got a great office he writes about, surrounded by all the memories of his playing and coaching days. And a quote from Spurrier referring to his age and all that, quote, "Yep, just got a physical the other day. Lady told me the EKG looks good. Blood pressure is good. Hopefully my mind is as good as it ever was because I still plan on calling the plays." He said, "I'm not playing well enough to play a whole lot. It's not a lot of fun when you're shooting in the 80s. Talked about his beach home in Crescent Beach, Florida.
You to shoot in the 80s.
I would give a left arm. I would give a left arm to shoot in the 80s. I don't know what he's complaining about. Anyway, he goes on to say, talking about coaching into his 70s and 80s and other coaches who have done that, quote, "But when you get to 60 and you're feeling good and there's no reason to quit, one of my coaching buddies told me that out of coaching, make sure you have something else to do. I'm going to get out someday, but I don't know when that's going to be. Maybe when I get old." Then he paused and he said, quote, "But I'm not old yet." Yeah, I see, Spurrier. I like that. I like that approach. Don't let age define you. Let that be a lesson to you, people.
Yeah,
Don't let a number define what you are, who you are, and where you're going in life. He still feels like a youngster, and I can appreciate that. There is an autobiography being worked on, of course, by Spurrier.
A rebuttal.
Something that a lot of young people do.
What's that?
Write autobiographies.
Well, who was it that wrote one? The basketball player at a young age? Was that Charles Barkley? Who wrote an autobiography and said he was misquoted?
I don't think Charles Barkley. No. If he's written an autobiography, that means he's officially written more books than he's read.
Somebody wrote an autobiography at a very young age.
Yeah, they did.
And they said
remember.
Then they had a news conference about it and said they were misquoted in their own autobiography.
Might have been Justin.
You know
Bieber.
It was?
Well, I thought I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
Might have been
Don't
Justin
go there.
Bieber that wrote it.
No, I stopped myself.
Anyway, back to Spurrier. He wants to talk about how he and his staff are going to get South Carolina back in the hunt for the SEC. You know the history. He said at first he was discouraged, but upon further review, he described South Carolina's 7th straight winning season, capped off by a 4th straight bowl win, was something to be enjoyed. Quote, "It was a decent year as it turned out. It was not as good as we'd hoped, but our guys fought back and won 3 out of the last 4. We beat Georgia, Florida, and Miami in the same teams can say that." And talking about the defense, then the offense and coaching change, John Hoke. And Spurrier said, quote, "I think we're going to be better because we can't be much worse on defense. What I'm asking our coaches to do is keep it simple and let's go play. A year ago, we were not very good at keeping it simple. If you make a bunch of mistakes, you're probably trying to do too much." Then on Connor Mitch, he said, quote, "Connor is a very good passer, but he has to learn more about playing the position." On Perry Orth, Perry is a walk-on who does a lot of good things, and so does Mike Scarnecchia. He's very smart. As far as Nunez, he said, Lorenzo Nunez, he said, quote, "I've got a feeling he'll play a little or a lot as a freshman." And that's pretty much it.
He'll be right on that.
That's pretty much the story that Tony Barnhart wrote on Spurrier.
You know, the simple thing about a defense, if people just watch football and watch it, I've seen teams with tremendous front fours and mediocre secondaries, and they beat you. You rarely see a team with a mediocre front four and even an excellent secondary. They struggle. You got to be good up front on both sides of the football.
All right, to the phones, 800-956-7266. Yep.
Ulrich Jones has just responded to Shaq Lawson.
Oh.
Shaq Lawson, the Clemson defensive end. Ulrich Jones haven't made a play in college to be talking that nonsense. And Ulrich Jones responded to Shaq Lawson, "You're right. I haven't, but I will."
Ooh.
And apparently Jones told a radio show on our affiliate in Greenville that if he only makes 1 sack next year, he'll promise that it'll be against Clemson.
November 20-something can't get here fast enough.
But he didn't say anything about it.
Enough. Yeah, it's going to be great. And you know what? I think both teams, my optimism always tends to grow this time of year heading into summer. I kind of
pick both teams to go undefeated.
Well,
usually.
I kind of dwell on the positives of both teams. Well, I think Clemson, in all honesty, can run the table. I don't think South Carolina can run the table. I think they can be better than most people are saying they're going to be. I think they'll be better than the 11th place location people are putting them in the overall SEC going into media days here this summer. I think the Gamecocks are going to be in the at least 8-win category, perhaps 9, and maybe better.
I think South Carolina is still a team, program, mentally is in a better place when they're underdogs than they are favorites. And that's a key.
Kind of like the Yankees this year. You know, the Yankees have the most wins in Major League Baseball as of today. Not many. Be right back. now we go to the phone calls, and Billy in Florence listening on 95.3 FM down there with Miller Communications. Welcome into the program, Billy. How are you?
I'm doing well, Phil. I hope you guys are. And you know what? You couldn't. Phil, the reason I like you is because you're a realist, and I'm a realist too. And the young man that I've never heard of him, and I thought recruiting really well. That came out and said that about Deshaun is pretty comical. You know, Phil, everybody wants to rough up the best. And going into this season, there's a reason Clemson sitting there with top 5 talent, top 10 at the very least, about every position, if you break it all down. And Deshaun Watson, I'm sure, is cracking a smile for a kid. 3-star, I'm understanding, which I know you don't follow the star system, but I'm assuming Clemson probably didn't even recruit it. Maybe there's a little bad blood there, because I know the talent gap at Clemson, South Carolina, has, as I looked on Tigers Illustrated and has widened pretty, well, I'd say a lot, Phil, between Clemson and South Carolina, and it's going to. South Carolina might need to get used to a good bit of butt cutting, because I think Clemson will be looking for that fortunate 4 with Mr. Watson, being he's only got 2 years left.
Well, Billy, answer me this question. Don't you think it's out of character for Watson to kind of make a statement like that? This is why I don't like people taking statements in areas where guys may be talking to their fans and building them up. I could see Deshaun Watson standing there. There's some Clemson fans there, and he's saying, we're not going to lose to South Carolina while I'm here. That was not for everybody's edification. That was just for the fans he was talking to.
I mean, it's smack talk. I mean, what do you think these guys are saying when they're standing in front of each other across the field? I mean, there's nothing. Nothing wrong.
K-Mac, if you walked into Deshaun Watson right now, held a mic in his face, he wouldn't make that statement.
Deshaun Watson's very, good. I mean,
well,
he's
certainly he knew
savvy.
he was talking to a reporter from USA Today. I mean, come on.
He said he gave a good answer. There's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong with it.
And Jadeveon Clowney said the same thing after he set the sack record at Death Valley. Sacked Taj Boyd 4.5 times, and he said, "I'm not going to lose to Clemson."
And the fact
he backed it up. And he backed it up. He went out there with a blown out knee.
Here's
dropped 35 on the game.
And I want to answer Billy on the here's the problem with today's sports mindset. So because somebody sitting in an office somewhere put a 3-star ranking on Ulrich Jones, his words can't mean anything because he's viewed by some as not being a good enough football player to sack Deshaun Watson. And Billy, I love you, man, but you've been sucked into the machine. You've been sucked in to the recruiting machine that the networks have created with the star system crap. And I was thinking about this last night watching Stephon Curry, who probably was nothing more at best than a 3-star or even maybe a 2-star coming out of high school. Now he's the NBA player of the year.
Melvin Ingram,
but here's my point.
Eric Norwood.
How can you trust a system that's that
Devin
wrong?
Taylor's in the NFL right now.
How can you trust a system that is that wrong that often? Because more often than not, they're wrong in their assessment of what players are going to become. Be right back. And we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on a Tuesday night. Good to have you with us. More of your phone calls coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. You know, yesterday, Clemson got another big piece to its basketball program moving forward as the Tigers landed a commitment from Marquise Reed, 6'4" guard, transferring from Robert Morris, sit out this coming season. And then we'll have 3 years to play for the Tigers. And Marquise joins us from his home up in Landover, Maryland. How you doing this afternoon, Marquise?
I'm doing fine, and yourself?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations on your decision to join Clemson. Tell us about what it feels like for you to join that program and get to the ACC.
Thank you. It's just a blessing, you know, from God. Being able to have an opportunity to play in the ACC and to help a team out and contribute in the ACC. So it's just a dream come true to be able to play at the highest level.
You had a very good freshman season at Robert Morris. You averaged over 15 points a game. You were the conference's Rookie of the Year. Why did you decide to leave that program and look around?
I just wanted a new challenge for myself. And for me to go to the next level, I just thought playing better competition at the highest level would get me better prepared for the next level in my career. So that's why I chose Clemson.
Were you under-recruited coming out of high school, and thus you improved a great deal when you got to Robert Morris and maybe kind of proved something to yourself that maybe you could play at a higher level of competition?
Yeah, I always believed in myself. You know, coming out of high school, I had a lot of mid-major offers, a lot of high majors they were interested, but never offered. Mm-hmm. So I think my game just elevated each and every year, and people finally realized it when I got to college and performed.
Yeah, what made you so good this past season at Robert Morris?
I think my ability to get to the lane and finish well, and my mid-range pull-up. But then, obviously, my three-point shot was consistent, so I think that kept the defense honest.
You played against Clemson last season, had a really good game against them, as I recall. I think it was 21 points against the Tigers off the bench. Now,
yeah,
how much of that performance do you think went into Clemson pursuing you once you got your release from Robert Morris?
I think that played a big role in it because obviously they was one of the top defensive teams in the ACC and the country. So for me to do that against them on their home floor was a good thing, and that probably elevated to recruit me even harder. And what I did to the other ACC schools. So I think that was a little bit of motivation for them.
Yeah,
I can play at that level.
You didn't talk any trash to them at that time, to the guys that will now be your future teammates, did you?
Nah.
Because it might come back to haunt you once they get you in there and welcome you to the new team.
It's all love.
Oh, what did you think of, it'll be a new building by the time you get there. Well, not actually by the time you play. It won't be new by the time you get there this coming year. But what did you think of Little John, and did you get a chance to get a look at the facilities while you were there?
Yeah, they showed me what it's going to look like when I be able to step on the floor. And it's going to be nice, so it's going to be a real good experience playing there in your first year playing on the floor in a new gymnasium and facility. So, yeah, I think it's going to be nice and work out fine.
Mm-hmm.
As far as you coming to Clemson and knowing that you have to sit out a year, are you – obviously you'll be practicing with the team, but what are some of the ways you are psychologically preparing yourself to just have to sit there for that 1 year because you know you're going to itch to want to get out on the floor?
Yeah. Well, I know it's going to pay off for the better. And I think I need this year to sit out, get stronger, get more explosive to play at this level. So I just want to take this year to get my body right, my game more polished, to be able to play against those guys every night. So I think it's going to work out for the better.
Yeah. Talking with Marquise Reed, who's headed to Clemson, next basketball season with you and Shelton Mitchell sitting out but practicing with the team, I mean, could it be that the backups could be better than the regulars with you and Shelton teaming up against the guys that'll be actually playing?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be some competition out there in the practice. So it's just going to get us ready for when we step on the court next year. So I think we're going to have some competitive practices.
What do you foresee for Clemson basketball now that you'll be joining the program, and after a year sitting out with Shelton, you two will be able to play starting in 16-17, and there'll be some other people added too as the recruiting continues. But I mean, what is your hope? What is your what do you see the future for Clemson basketball with you guys?
I see a really good future. You know, I think we can have a chance to be a national power team. You know, you got Deron Blossomgame, you got Dante Grantham, and then me and Shelton coming in. I think that's going to be real nice. And another big coming in. So I think we got a chance to do some good things there.
What do you work on during your time off this coming year? What parts of your game do you try to improve?
I'm trying to improve on my three-point shot, shoot that a little bit more. I shot a good percentage, but I want to get it where I can shoot it more confident off the screen and just off the dribble. So I'm working on my three-point shot, just getting my upper body strong, my legs more stronger, get more explosive, and just stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, 43% from behind the arc last season, first year of college basketball. That's not bad. 80% from the line, 50% overall. I mean, are you a pure shooter?
I get the ball in the basket.
Primarily what, off the dribble, or can you create your own shot, or do you like to come off a screen?
Yeah, I'm good at creating my own shot and creating space to create my own shot. Obviously, shoot a lot of pull-ups and floaters, which you need in college and the next level.
Absolutely. Very good. Well, Marquise, congratulations once again on choosing Clemson. Thank you so much for being with us tonight on Sports Talk. Look forward to seeing you when you get to Clemson for real this August.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, Marquise Reed, 6'4", shooting guard, combo guard, can play a little point, but I think this is a guy that you want to set up some plays for with Shelton Mitchell or whoever happens to be. Maybe it's Avery Holmes, whoever the point guard happens to be. This sounds like a guy that you want to set up in your offense and get him some looks.
Well, he sounds like a guy who knows needs to work on some things, and it's interesting because I think when you get this level of basketball and as you move up, especially at the ACC level, that you have taller guys who when you go into the lane, you think you have space, and then you see a long arm of the law come out and just slap the ball out of bounds because you have to judge height, quickness, and when you can get a shot off and how high you have to loft it. I think some of those things he's going to have to look at when he's trying to finish at the 10.
All right, the baseball update. Charleston College of leading Charleston Southern 8-0. An 8-run second inning for the Cougars. They're going to the third. And so this looks like it's going to go in the win column for Charleston at this point and enhance their chances for hosting a regional as they move forward. They just had a home run hit, a 3-run homer. The Butler did it. Butler hit a home run for the Cougars, and they're now up 8-0. Quickly, back to the phones we go. Ronnie in North Augusta listening to us on KSX. Welcome in, Ronnie. How are you?
Doing good, Bill. How y'all tonight?
We couldn't be finer if we weren't in Carolina. Yes,
I'm going to assume that Billy is a Clemson graduate, so I hope he's got a calculator close by because I know he's not smart enough to do this in his head. But Carolina signed 2 10-star defensive ends today, 2 12-star defensive tackles, and a 10-star quarterback. Tell Billy that's 55 stars if he hasn't had time to add it up yet. So I know he loves the star system so much. I just thought I'd kind of let him know what's going on in Columbia.
Oh, my goodness. You're going to ruin his night with that kind of information, Ronnie. That's a lot of stars. To be quite honest with you, in my career of covering recruiting, the highest number of stars I've ever seen was 7 stars that I gave to Chris Culliver.
Okay.
Back when he kind of lived up to his 7-star status. Yeah. Thank you, Ronnie. Back in a moment. And it's time for our Braves Reports, starring the one and the only Mike Morgan, who I'm not sure is not Ted Cruz. They do look a lot alike, but they're probably two different people. Brought to you by Mattress by Appointment. Real simple. You call, you save 50 to 80% on premium mattress sets. That's 803-530-8549. By Founders Federal Credit Union, helping South Carolinians attain their financial goals. And by Play It Again Sports off Bower Parkway in Columbia, where you pay less for more. Go by there soon. You might see some golf clubs that once belonged to me for sale at a very cheap price.
Nicked up, scratched,
scuffed. Let's welcome in Mike Morgan to the program. It's not Ted Cruz, it's Mike Morgan. Braves won last night.
How are you?
Braves won last night, 2-1.
Yes, they did. Was that a question?
That was a question and a statement.
That was a question.
And
yes,
a statement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll expand on the question and the statement. It really was what you've come to like about this Braves team, despite the fact it's not a great record, it's not a great team overall. Nobody's predicting this team to go to the World Series. The way they got the winning run last night, they manufactured it. They had guys that did the little things that last year's team just never did. You know, guys like Phil Gosselin getting on base, stealing third, and scoring later on a wild pitch by one of the top closers in baseball on Aroldis Chapman. The kind of things that help you win ball games. You've got four guys that are hitting above 280 right now. Nick Markakis leading the way in that category. So nothing flashy, but a lot of things that you do like about this team that would drive you nuts. A team last year that was more talented, but not very successful, as we all know. So we'll see if they can take some of that momentum into tonight's ball game. Again, when you have Shelby Miller, too, that we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that even though he didn't get the win, he was outstanding last night, and he continues to be the man in that rotation. That's a very encouraging sign, not only for this year, but years to come.
3 hits and 7 walks, 8 strikeouts, ERA down to 1.6. He was outstanding. What did he have working for him last night?
Well, I think Pro asked about it, last night, and particularly pitching in that ballpark. You can't leave anything up, and he got it down, got a lot of ground balls, hit his spots. He's just been sharp, really, in every start this year, with the possible exception of one. But he has been incredibly consistent, and a guy that, again, has got a chance to be an all-star this season.
Well, we talked about last night's pitching. What about tonight? And I'll let you handle the pronunciations because
no, I want to do it. Can I do it?
If it's the Wheel of Fortune, I'll buy Val.
Yeah,
because these two guys, it has to be the two longest names pitching against each other in the majors this year.
Well, I'm going to try the Braves pitcher. I haven't had a chance to practice this recently. Mike Fultonowicz. Fultonavich.
I don't know who Fultonowicz is, but Fultonevich is the guy going tonight.
Fultonevich, yeah. I was close.
Yes, almost as close as your body double ability. Yes, very, very, very close. Yeah, he got 9 valves tonight between the two starters, Fultonevich, and I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce the pitcher for the Reds. He's relatively new, but I'll give it a shot. De Schiaffoni, I believe, is how you pronounce it, and he comes in with a 2-3 mark, has actually pitched pretty well as a rookie for Cincinnati. And Fultonevich is a guy that's got a 2-0 record. He had a blow-up start. That's why the ERA is over 5. But there's been a lot of things to like about this young man. And again, I think he's there to stay. I don't think this is just an experiment at this point. I think he's got good enough stuff where he's going to last the long haul. Again, dangerous spot here against the Cincinnati team that does have power, that is in that ballpark. If you miss on a fastball, they will park it. But overall, he's pitched well.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And we will talk to you tomorrow night with another Braves report. Braves and the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati coming up a little bit later on tonight. Braves hoping to build on their win from last night. There is a bit of a concern in their bullpen with Jason Grilli being out right now and not sure about his availability. He had back spasms and is keeping him on the sideline right now. Hopefully they won't have to worry about that. In baseball this afternoon, one game ongoing. The Cardinals lead Cleveland 2-0. That's in the top of the third. And for those of you wondering, the Yankees, with the most wins in the major leagues, tied with the Dodgers. I believe we each have 21 wins. They play Tampa Bay tonight, and the Dodgers.
I think St. Louis is still.
No, I think we have more wins. I checked the standings last night after we won, we being the Yankees, of course. I'll check them again. I think we're sitting there with 21. But I think the Dodgers have 21 as well. Anyway, we'll be right back. All right. St. Louis has 22 wins, but when I looked at it last night, they only had 21.
You know, they play games every night.
I missed that.
I'm almost convinced to take 9 little leaguers and put them in the Cardinal uniforms and they'll win.
And the Dodgers have a better record than the Yankees too.
Oh, okay.
Not for long. To recruiting we go. Offensive lineman Branton Autry, who's 6'4", 320, Coffeyville Junior College, Kansas, big USC target. And the Gamecocks being thin in quality offensive linemen, losing 3 senior linemen, all of whom could be starters. He realizes that, and that's the reason he's looking at South Carolina and others. But number one priority on his list, playing time. He said, playing time is all I'm looking at. That's all I need to know is about playing time. So he plans to take all 5 officials, but only knows one at this point, and that'll be USC. It could come this June. He discussed that subject with Sean Elliott on Sunday, and he said Elliott told him they're excited about him coming in for a visit. He is also looking at Arkansas, Florida, Ole Miss, Baylor, Missouri, Arizona State, Louisville, Iowa State, Oklahoma. That's kind of his top 10 with no order and no favorite. And he is from Mobile, Alabama. He's home from summer break, won't return to school until August, wants to make his decision around August 15th, December graduate, 3 to play 2. USC target defensive lineman Naquan Jones of Evanston, Illinois, picked up a Florida offer Tuesday. USC offered defensive back J.J. Givens, Mechanicsville, Virginia. Defensive lineman Julian Rochester of Powder Springs, Georgia, has Clemson number 3 in his top 10 behind Georgia and Auburn. So it's Georgia, Auburn, Clemson, the rest, Louisville, LSU, Tennessee, Florida, Oregon, Southern Cal, and as he put it, anybody that can open my eyes at number 10. Clemson offered defensive back Marquil Osborne, Cornelius, North Carolina. He's already committed to Tennessee. He's a teammate of a couple of DBs going to Clemson in this class, Mark Fields and Van Smith. Tigers also offered 2017 defensive end Robert Beal Jr. of Norcross, Georgia. USC offered 2019 defensive end Owen Papo of Grayson, Georgia. 2019 would make him what? Freshman? 2019? No. Have to be a freshman. Well, 16 is a senior, 17 is a sophomore, 18 is a – no, I mean, 16 is a senior, 17 is a junior, 18 is a sophomore, 19 would be a freshman.
Okay.
Basketball.
Sophomore.
Tevin Mack returned late last night from Texas that was delayed due to the storms in the Southwest. Stayed over an extra night because of that. His mother said today that they've not set a date for an announcement. She pointed out that next Wednesday is the end of the signing period, and they want to do it by then. So we don't know if he's going to do something this week or if he's going to wait and carry it over until next week. But he's still kind of sorting things out. My guess is between Texas and Georgia, but who knows in this case. Top of the hour break. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
And we're back, hour number 2 of Sports Talk here on this Tuesday night. Coming up, Furman football coach Bruce Fowler to join us to talk about the Paladins spring practice and looking ahead to the 2015 season. Furman baseball team underway in its game against Clemson. They're scoreless, one away in the top of the first inning over at Fluor Field. Meantime, South Carolina and Upstate delayed for about a half hour because of lightning in the area and some changes in the lineup for the Gamecocks. Marcus Mooney moves up to the 2-hole after his hot weekend, and Hunter Taylor once again behind the plate. Looks to me like he's taking over the catcher's job. They've got Arendas playing at second tonight, meaning Schrock has a night off. Stokes will be at third base tonight, and Scalamero will be in left. So large number of freshmen in the lineup tonight for the Gamecocks, including their starting pitcher.
5.
Yeah, so – but it's a delayed start in Columbia because of, I guess, lightning in the area. Down in Charleston, the College of leading Charleston Southern now 8-1 as they play in the 4th inning. I want to go back to Bobby Bowden and his comments today. He was on Paul Feinbaum's show, and he said, quote, "I think it's a consensus among FSU fans and boosters that Jameis Winston was an embarrassment to the university." And Florida State people.
The FSU Twitter was blazing.
Yeah, which most of whom, I guess, forgot about the fact that Bobby Bowden built the powerhouse.
They went after Feinbaum, not Bowden.
They went after Feinbaum.
Oh, yeah, it's Feinbaum's fault.
Well, the ones I read went after Bowden as well. Yeah. You know, he's so old, he doesn't know what he's saying.
He's lost it.
One thing I've learned about Twitter, though, this is what I want to get to. Twitter is like the cockroach of the media world. I mean, it's the lowest form of life in media circles. I mean, even below Facebook, I think. I think it's the cockroach of media outlets. Well, because first of all, there's gazillions of them out there,
right?
And they come at you from all angles. They much like cockroaches do. If you go into an old house and pull up a board, they come at you from all angles
and drop a crumb, and they're all there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't kill them because you kill one, there's 1,000 more coming after you, and they do nothing. The Twitterites out there, ones that are vicious, I mean, they do nothing but damage. They do no one any good. And going back to what was said here by Bowden, I don't know if he's in a position to speak for the majority of Florida State fans. He says he thinks it's a consensus. It's hard for one person to draw that kind of conclusion. But he was an embarrassment to Florida State. Winston was. I mean, my God, the crab legs incidents, the standing up in the middle of campus and shouting the obscenities incidents, not to mention the ongoing saga of
and then what he did on draft night
or no assault,
the childish posing with the picture.
He truly was an embarrassment to the university. You can't hide from that.
I don't know. Were they
night on Sports Talk, we had the pleasure of talking to one of the newest members of the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame, Jimmy Satterfield, who, of course, longtime coach at Furman, won a national championship there. And we welcome into the program the current head coach of the Paladins, who would love nothing more than to follow in his good friend's footsteps and get the Paladins back to a national championship, Coach Bruce Fowler. And first of all, I know that was a big night for all of the Furman family to have Coach Satterfield go into the Hall of Fame.
It was. That was I got a chance to go down last night, and it was just that was a really neat thing for Coach Satterfield and his family, and getting a chance to be there and sharing that. And then, Coach Baker was there, Art Baker, and then Dick Sheridan and Bobby Johnson. So, it was just it was a good thing for Furman and Coach Satterfield, of course. I was here as an assistant in the years that he was head coach, and really gave me an opportunity to kind of get started, when Coach Sheridan went to NC State. So really appreciative for that. But it was really a neat night.
Boy, I tell you what, a lot of greatness in that group when you throw out the names of Art Baker, Jimmy Satterfield, Dick Sheridan, and the others. A lot of greatness in that group.
Yeah, it was fun. We were able to get some pictures at the end, and Stanford Jennings was there, and Sam Weiss and Tim Souls, and just some guys that have had Furman ties for a long time. Of course, you talk about those coaches; those guys have really done a great job in a lot of different places.
All right, let's get to your spring, and I guess one of the big moments of your spring, the return of Reese Hannon to the quarterback position, and by all accounts, had a pretty solid spring for you and looked good.
Yeah, he did. He did really well. He came back, no problems at all with his ankle, which we didn't anticipate him having any, but was very confident and just picked up, really like he hadn't missed a day. Ran the offense well. It was great to have his leadership back out there. Phil, he's really experienced in that regard. He's been a captain for us 2 years, and of course, last year he was hurt most of the year, but he still stayed out there every day. He went to every single meeting, paid attention to every detail of everything that happened, which is pretty typical of Reese's personality. So he didn't miss a beat. He was out there, and you could tell it had a great effect on our team, as everybody, particularly probably offensively.
And does he step right back into the starter's role, or do you continue some competition going into the fall?
Well, he did this spring because P.J. Blazechowski, who did a great job for us last year, coming in the last half of the season, is a true freshman. He fractured his ankle in the off season, and so he had to have surgery, and he wasn't able to participate in spring practice. So we just and we moved Dylan Woodruff, who had played some quarterback, over to defense. So we had a guy named Harris Roberts that stepped in and backed up in spring, and he actually did a really good job. So we feel really good about that position. Of course, we'd be glad to get PJ back and healthy too, but we certainly have a lot of experience, and it should be one of the positions we have the most depth at.
I would think so. And I love Reese Hannon as a quarterback, and I got to believe, he's just had unfortunate injuries since he's been there, but my goodness, if you can keep him healthy, he would mean so much to your offense and would certainly elevate your team overall.
Yeah, there's no doubt, it had an effect on us in, him not being in there last year from a lot of different perspectives. But I think the big, just besides being a good football player and being able to do the things within the offense, just his leadership, like I said earlier, and his ability to, just what he lends to that part, and players are very confident in him, and then PJ too. So it's a position we really feel good about, and certainly just having Reese back gives us a tremendous boost.
I would think that it was a very un-Furman-like year from a running the football standpoint, averaging about 125 yards a game on the ground. I know you want to do better than that. Was that a point of focus for you this year? And if so, did you improve in that area?
Yeah, it's been a point of focus for us for a long time around Furman, but certainly has been since our staff came back 4 years ago, and we did pretty well with it the first 3 years. We had a 1,000-yard rusher every year, and it was it's just something that we have to do well, and we didn't do it well last year, just like you said, and obviously there's a lot of factors for that, but we've got to get back to doing that well, and we got to stop the run. So, we we didn't do that well enough last year. So it was a point of emphasis on both sides, which made for some good competitive physical practices, and I think we did get better.
Yeah, who's emerging as your leading ball carrier, considering that Hank McLeod is gone?
Well, Hank was hurt last year, Phil, so we had most of the year. So we had a lot of guys get some experience. Isaac Garcia came on toward the end of the year. He had an outstanding spring. Antonio Wilcox played a good bit back there in the backfield and did a good job. And then Keelan, another true freshman last year that redshirted, he had a good spring. Ernie Kane's back. Charlie Anderson, Noah Mitchell. So we got some guys back there who will emerge. We're going to find out in August, I think.
Now, you mentioned stopping the run, so defensive improvement in that area was obviously emphasized in the spring. What adjustments did you make? Did you take that step forward in that area defensively?
Well, we have a new defense coordinator, Kyle Gillenwater, that came from been at James Madison for 15 years and then 1 year at Bridgewater. And he came in. We were, just did an outstanding job of getting our players to play at a really high tempo, be physical, and getting back to some of the fundamental stuff that we didn't do very well last year. And so, the emphasis was really put on learning a new scheme a little bit and then being able to just play better fundamentally. And I'm just talking about the basic things like tackling and getting off blocks, and we did get better.
Looking at your schedule, boy, I tell you what, first 3 weeks, pretty tough. You get Coastal Carolina at home to open things up. That's going to be a great football game. And then you go to Virginia Tech, and then you go to Central Florida. So right out of the gate, it's going to be a test.
Yeah, we start out, with a really good FCS opponent team that was ranked number one, a lot of the year last year, and lost to North Dakota State, but a very close game up there. And we just, they've done a great job against us, and we, have been able to beat them. We lost to them in double overtime last year, and that'll be a key game for us, getting ready to go right out the gate and playing against probably a high-ranked FCS opponent, and then playing two FBS opponents on the road after that. In those games, you've got to play your game, and you've got to do a great job of eliminating mistakes, just like in any game. But obviously, when you're playing a team that's got 20-something more scholarships than you have, you got to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to.
Yeah, those money games are great for everybody but the head coach.
Yeah, we'll be ready for them. I mean, we just got to get ready one at a time, as they say, and our guys will be excited about playing in some games early in the year against teams that they know that they're going to have to be, playing really well against to go in there and have a chance to win the game.
And of course, we know Furman's history in those games, so I wouldn't count you out.
Well, thanks.
Listen, good talking to you. Enjoy the rest of your summer. When you get a chance to take a step back and relax a little bit, then we'll see you sometime in July and again in August and on into the season.
Yeah. Well, come see us, all right? I'll see you, I guess in July, like I said, and then get you up here in August, okay?
Thanks, you, sir. Phil. Good talking to you. All right, that's Bruce Fowler, head football coach at Furman. Boy, I'm happy to hear that Reese Hannon is back. That makes all the difference in the world for those guys. I know that Blazkowski went in and did a heck of a job for him last year. Sorry to hear that he's hurt, but now they'll have some depth at quarterback when he gets healthy and Hannon comes back. But Hannon, he's a special quarterback at that level. He is a guy that is a winner, terrific passer coming out of Greer High School, and boy, they're just a different team when he's in there.
Yeah, and Southern Conference a little bit more manageable for Furman to get back where they were. I mean, there's no Appalachian State now and Georgia Southern in the way, and what wasn't mentioned enough when we talk about all those great coaches at Furman is Jimmy Satterfield was the guy, because even when they won that title, I kept looking. I said, wait a minute, Furman. And I'm looking around. I say, this is the first private school that's won the 1AA championship.
Absolutely. Blazkowski. I want to get that right, not Blazkowski. Blazkowski. Tonight's a night for the tough names here on Sports Talk. We'll be back in a moment. All right, we thank Bruce Fowler for being with us tonight here on Sports Talk. Furman has taken a 3-0 lead on Clemson as they play in the bottom of the first. 3-run first for the Paladins. Clemson has committed 2 errors. 3-2-0 for Furman. 0-0-2 for Clemson. Tigers have left 2 on board. The lineup tonight for Clemson, let's see if they had any major changes. Jolly was the DH. Everything else, Cox was at first base. Everything else pretty much per usual for Clemson, but a 3-0 Furman lead on Clemson. And,
That's not good for Jack Leggett.
College of Charleston, 8-2 on Charleston Southern now. Charleston Southern has come back with a run in the third, a run in the fifth to offset, not offset, but to counteract the 8-run second inning that the Cougars had. And South Carolina and Upstate delayed until 7:35?
Yeah.
For their first pitch over at Carolina Stadium.
Charleston, the only thing detrimental about getting a lead like that, you're comfortable, but psychologically some teams, and it happens quite often, we've seen it even at the major league level, they take their foot up off the gas and they look up and it's 8-3.
It's kind of like the NBA.
It's 8-5, and then suddenly you're tied. So you got to be careful.
Let's see here. I want to go back and see when was the last time Clemson had a losing record. In 1991, Clemson won 60 games. They were 60-10 in 1991. 60. They played 70 games that year.
Wow.
Let's see, 91. So they haven't had any losing records here anytime recently. And going back, have they ever had a losing record?
No, I don't think.
In the regular season,
there's
42 wins. I'm back in 85 here. They went 36, 38. Came back. Do you happen to offhand know the answer to this
I do not.
question? 75, they won 33-10. 74, 23-15. I'm just quickly scanning here. They won 24 games in 73. Remember, back in those years, they didn't play as many games.
No.
1964, they were 13-13.
So that's you're all the way back to 1964.
Back to 64.
And they've been 500 or better every year since 64.
Well, I'm still checking some side. 27 wins.
I can go grab
my
media guide.
I'm looking at the media guide.
But I mean, 18, after 50 years, you just say
10, 15, 11, 11-10 in 1960, 24-8, 17-8 in 62. We're in the 50s now. Okay, this might have been the last year. 1957, they were 6-12.
Sure, you didn't miss one in there anyway.
1957.
Now, I wouldn't have thought the Kaiser ever had a losing.
When was Kaiser's first year? That would have been about the time.
Right.
He took over in the 50s. 57, they were 6-12. Let's see if I know any. Oh, you know who the starting shortstop on that team was? Bud Spires. He played in the major leagues, right? Or his sons did.
I think his son.
Yeah, Bud Spires. I think his son. He had a son that was a punter at Clemson and played professional baseball as well.
With the Mets, didn't he?
Might have. Yeah. We'll keep looking.
57? That's crazy.
57, what?
That's the last time
Yeah, that seems to be the last time Clemson had a losing record. What did we say, 1957?
58 years ago.
58 years ago. Wow. Well, see if the Tigers can rally. They're down 0-0. Charleston continues to lead Charleston Southern 8-2, top of the sixth. USC and Upstate still have not gotten underway over at Carolina Stadium, which takes us, of course, natural lead into racing, as we welcome in Chip Weil, president of Darlington Raceway, coming off a big racing weekend at Kansas. Chip, good to have you with us. Love the racing at Kansas. That's a tremendous speedway out there, and sometimes oftentimes three, but sometimes four wide, fast track. Looks like a track that's still in very good shape and made for some exciting racing.
Yeah, we've done a really nice job when they built that track in 2002. They did a nice job designing it so that it is very raceable. It's not a one-groove racetrack, and they had a heck of a crowd on Saturday that even held out for the rain. You know, the rain came through, and they were able to get the race in. So kudos to all the folks at NASCAR and Speedway for trudging through. Those days seem to be long, but I guarantee everybody's glad to be home on Mother's Day.
Absolutely. Jimmy Johnson gets the win, and, of course, he's so good on the 1.5-mile tracks. No surprise that he got the win. Kevin Harvick second. Dale Jr. third. And, Jeff Gordon right there once again. He can't get a win yet, but he's been right there in the money most of these races. What did you think of the race and the way it played out?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that it was a great race, and Jimmy Johnson staying out during that final caution period and taking the lead, I didn't think he had a chance, knowing that Kevin Harvick, who had a strong car all night, was right behind him with two tires. But, man, he certainly made the most of that opportunity and held off Harvick and the rest of the field to capture his third 1.5-mile victory of the season. Pretty incredible, that what that 48 team has been able to do with the 1.5 miles this year. One at Atlanta, one at Texas, and now they've won at Kansas. That's bad news for the rest of the field, because Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus and that 48 team generally don't turn it on strong until 600, and then they go on a string of really solid runs. So if that's a sign of things to come, the rest of the field better be watching out.
Well, I would agree, and they obviously within their program, they have the 1.5-mile tracks pretty much figured out. What do you think the key is for them when it comes to all the success on that size track?
Well, I think it's trying to find that incident dialed in. To get the car exactly where Jimmy wants it for that last run. They've had the ability this year to move the track bar around within the race car. I think they certainly have worked on that. But if you looked at Jimmy Johnson early in the race, nobody would have guessed he would have been the winner, as loose as he was. Heck, he almost wrecked it on lap 4, coming off turn 4, just got dead sideways. So I think the thing that Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson have been able to figure out is how to dial in that race car late in a race and figure out where they need to make adjustments early, and then be able to dial it in so that when they do get to that final run, they have the speed they need to win.
8 of the 16 drivers right now who would be in the chase, if the chase were today, 8 have victories. So half that field has a win, and they are all pretty much guaranteed to be in the chase. You got some big names, however, in the 16 yet to get a win, like Jeff Gordon, for example, like Ryan Newman, and Clint Boyer has snuck in there at number 16. We had Danica Patrick in there for a while. He has slipped out. Clint Boyer has slipped in. Where do you think the next non-winner will get that first win? Who will be the next of the non-winners to get a win in the category on the victory side?
Well, there are a couple of teams that continue to perform strong and haven't gotten to victory lane, one being Jeff Gordon in that 24 car. If he can eliminate the mistakes late in the race on pit road, speeding, and otherwise, I think that team certainly is poised for a victory. The other one that we don't really talk about but has had speed all season is Martin Truex Jr. Guy sits second in points has a string of top 10s put together, and has shown consistent speed on a weekly basis. So if I were going to pick the next two winners, those would certainly be at the top of my list.
All right, and so now we go to Charlotte for a couple of weeks. A lot of activity around the Charlotte Motor Speedway around Memorial Day. What do you think will be some of the hot topics coming out of the next couple of weeks in Charlotte?
Well, certainly we'll all be talking this week about Kyle Busch's return. He's going to return to the 18 car this weekend for the Sprint All-Star race, and especially knowing how severe his injuries were in Daytona, and and his road to recovery has certainly been faster than we all expected. So excited to see Rowdy back in the car. He's good for our sport. Love him or hate him, you got to appreciate his talents behind the wheel of a race car. And then this weekend, I think we'll certainly all be looking to see who's going to have speed, because that's a pretty sure sign of who's going to be fast for the Coca-Cola 600, the long race for our season. So good storylines to follow. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, excellent. And, you know, nobody, if Kyle Busch wins the 600, let's just say he comes back, he wins the 600. I mean, he's in the chase, right? A win pretty much gets you in the chase. Anybody going to have a problem with the fact that he will not have run a full schedule because of his injuries?
Well, I think they announced a couple of weeks ago that they are going to give him an exemption, and I don't disagree with that. I think, you know, unfortunately for Kyle, that was out of his control, and he's able to come back. And if he gets a victory, he certainly deserves to be in the chase. And it'll be interesting to see how well he does this weekend, how comfortable he is behind the wheel immediately, if it's something that he's going to have to work on to get comfortable, or if he can go ahead and – but you got to remember, he hasn't driven this new package, because he wrecked in the Xfinity race. So it'll be interesting to see how he takes to this new car and see if he has speed right off the bat.
All right, and let's talk about your place, Darlington. Of course, I'm sitting there this past weekend, Mother's Day weekend, thinking, you know what, we should be at Darlington, but we're not. But that's okay, because Labor Day is an even better weekend to race at Darlington.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't wait for the return of tradition to Labor Day weekend at Darlington Raceway. Really excited about all the things we got going on. We announced last week with Kevin Harvick in the 4-car, a throwback paint scheme. It's going to look like a Budweiser can from 1935. So we're going to continue to have announcements like that. A lot of cars are going to that retro look for our weekend as we celebrate the history and the heritage of the sport. So a lot of exciting things going on as we gear up for Labor Day weekend.
That sounds great. And don't you have some test sessions coming up in June?
Yes, we're going to open up the test session on Wednesday, June 10th, to the public. You can come in through the 6 right off the 151 highway. And, well, it's free to the public, so they'll be testing all day on the 10th. Come out and enjoy some race cars at Darlington Raceway.
Do you know who's committed to testing that day already?
I don't. You know what? I'll look it up, so next time we talk, I'll have a good list. I don't know what drivers are going to be there. They don't announce drivers. Each team has the ability to bring whatever driver in their camp that they want. So I'll work on that list and hopefully have it for you next week.
Sounds like a plan. Listen, enjoy your rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next week.
I think so.
Thank you very much, Chip Wild, president of Darlington Raceway. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed being at home on Saturday. You know, typically in how many years we've been racing in Darlington on Mother's Day weekend, you hang around the house on Saturday and then head to Darlington around 3 o'clock or so. And if you're going to go kind of late, I think K-Mac, you would arrive early so you could get properly lubricated for the race. Now, absolutely. Lubrication is important if you're going to go to a race. We don't want you to be
pre, during, and post.
Well, you know, I know all of us.
But it was good to sit home and not have to go. Then I'll be, of course, Labor Day weekend is going to be crazy because you're going to have the USC game on Thursday, high school football on Friday, Clemson game and other games on Saturday, and the race on Sunday, and the NFL on Sunday. So it's going to be pretty crazy.
It's going to be wild. You know, all of us have taken.
I guess the NFL.
Well, I think it's that next week.
Is that the week? We're going to wait the week after.
Yeah. All of us have driven. I guess long as I've been in the car without stopping, probably 8 hours or whatever. Then when you get out of the car, how do your legs feel?
What legs?
Okay, that's my point. You know, Kyle Busch with what, broken leg and broken ankle? You know, if how he will feel sitting in that car that long and then have to get out. I'm not so certain. That is a whew.
I'm sure he has been working out and trying to get himself physically back in shape. But to start off beyond the All-Star race with the 600 as your first big race back, that's going to be a test. right, let's update the baseball. Furman now leading Clemson 6-0. Tigers with 3 errors in the first inning. One was made by the shortstop White. One was made by the third baseman Wilson. One was made by the center fielder Slayton. But 4 of the runs are earned, so 2 unearned runs. 6-0 Furman, 6-6-0 for the Paladins, 0-1-3 for the Tigers. Not a good start for Clemson, a great start for Furman. College of Charleston leading Charleston Southern now 8-2. They're in the bottom of the 6th. And USC and Upstate, they are scoreless in the bottom of the first inning. USC does have a runner on second base with a 1-man out. Kyle Martin at the plate. You think Kyle Martin, if the Gamecocks were a nationally ranked team this year, the kind of year he's having, 14 home runs, batting average of 350-something, about 50-something RBIs.
SEC Player of the Year.
Well, I was going to say, do you think he makes an and fields his position extremely well? Does he make an All-American team?
Yes.
Does he make?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a top 10 team.
But how about what about they don't finish in the top 10 or anything like that? Don't you think his numbers alone should get him in
a speak for
All-American?
yourself in a tough conference against tough pitching, and he, at least the one caveat for him is he came back.
Mm-hmm.
He's improved his draft stock going into the upcoming Major League draft, I guess, next month now.
Yeah, I would think so.
And I quite frankly think a guy comes back for his senior year, if he's had a solid season, ought to be appreciated for that.
Mm-hmm.
But do they think about that when they put these teams together?
They should,
give them
because
extra
let's face
points
it,
for that?
Not only is he doing this con, but he's doing it without much protection around him, because nobody else around him is hitting that.
Caldwell's hitting well.
Yeah. But he doesn't have a lot of protection.
No, after Caldwell, it has dipped off considerably. Now Schrock, Chad Holbrook said last week that Schrock could very well come back next year. Because he's been so injured at South Carolina, even though he's having a fine season at the plate, he'd like to come back perhaps and have a healthy year and see if he can help South Carolina get back to the level that it's enjoyed most of the time he's been in school.
Well, didn't you mention that when you looked at the lineup Friday night, you said this looks like the lineup that was supposed to be the starting lineup at the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
To bring hope, if you're a South Carolina fan, that if these guys would have stayed healthy, look at the possibilities, especially what they pulled off in College Station.
Well, with the junior college guys they have coming in, if they are good players, and you look at the returning players next year for South Carolina, and let's just say Schrock returns. So next year, and Mooney, he has another year of eligibility. Let's assume he returns. You'd have probably the junior college transfer at first base, the big hitter from out, I think it was in Kansas, who signed with them last week. I think you probably have him at first base. Can Destino play first base? He can also pitch. I know Destino can pitch, but at least you'll have him back as a DH. You'd have Schrock at second. You'd have Mooney at short. You'd have Caldwell's a senior. You'll lose him. You'll have Taylor back behind the plate. Koch also comes back. You have Arendas back at third base. Or you'd have Stokes. Scalamaro be back to play in the outfield. They've got enough players coming back to build a pretty good lineup for next year as these young guys hope pitching better.
Yeah, they're going to lose. Crow won't be back. Crowfoot's going to be in the not Crowfoot, but Winecoop. Winecoop will be gone. I don't know. Ike Crowfoot.
Crowfoot, yeah.
You were thinking Crow.
Yeah, I was saying Winecoop. Yeah,
you don't think Crow will be back at all next year?
No.
You think his surgery is his injury will take longer?
Yeah.
Even towards the
and really at that point he might go ahead and bolt too and get into the minor leagues.
Yeah, the pitching will be a major concern for next year, no question about it. Considering who they lose and the way some pitchers have
maybe Widener will have
year.
to be their Friday starter next year.
Yeah.
I think I like Widener better as a starter than I do a closer.
My goodness! 10-0 Furman, a 7-run second inning for the Paladins. 10 runs on 8 hits, and let's see who's doing all this damage for Furman. Have they hit any home runs?
Brandon Elmy hit a 3-run homer.
Yeah, there is a 3-run homer. And up and down they're collecting hits. Olmstead's got a couple of hits and an RBI. This is a big night for Furman.
Right.
First of all, Bruce Fowler's on Sports Talk. That's big. Last night, Jimmy Satterfield goes into the Hall of Fame. That's big. And tonight, they are thumping Clemson unmercifully. It's 10-0. Furman over Clemson. They're only in the second inning. Be right back. All right, back for our final couple of minutes here tonight on Sports Talk. Tomorrow night, we'll have Chad Holbrook with us, scheduled to be live with us at 6:30 tomorrow night. So we look forward to having him with us. We'll see if he'll be discussing a win tonight or not talking very much about a loss. Won't do that. But looking ahead to top-ranked LSU coming to Columbia Thursday, Friday, Saturday to wrap up the regular season for the Gamecocks. We'll attempt to get Jack Leggett on. Not so sure we'll be successful. Way this game's going down in or up in Greenville, 10-0 Furman at Fluor Field. Furman is still batting in the bottom of the second, 7 runs in already, runner on first, and only 1 out. Clemson pitching, needless to say, has and defense has been atrocious to this point in the game to give up 10 runs, 3 in the first and 7 in the second. College of Charleston adds another run on Charleston Southern. It's now 9-2. Cougars over the Buccaneers as they play in the bottom of the 6th inning. Everett Golson continues to travel around a little bit. Jimbo Fisher confirming that Golson was on the campus on Monday, and he has been traveling with some family members. He will be back up at Notre Dame for graduation, which is this coming Sunday, and I would expect, based on our information, soon after that he'll make his announcement. And as far as I know, nothing has changed. Everything is still pointing towards him heading down to Tallahassee, which will make for some interesting times around the ACC, I would say. First of all, the reaction to come out after he makes that official, and then once he gets there and starts competing with Sean McGuire and eventually takes the job and becomes the starting quarterback for the Seminoles. And we'll get to see him at Death Valley this coming season. That'll be a lot of fun.
And of course, it works in Florida State's favor this time, that maybe it was good that Notre Dame did not enter the ACC as a full-fledged football member, because you knew if that happened, nope, you're not going there, because we gotta play them or they affect our position in the standings. So.
Now, there's also been a report that Golson was at Florida today. This is on CBSSports.com. Actually citing Andy Staples of Sports Illustrated. He said that Golson visited Florida today. Again, this is all irrelevant. This is all irrelevant. My information is that for 3 months he's known that he was going to go to Florida State. I don't think he just showed up on Jimbo Fisher's unannounced and unexpected. Okay, so but he can visit some other schools and raise the interest level of the fan bases as he makes those stops. But again, I think it's all irrelevant. He's Tallahassee bound, has been for a while. And we are done for the night. Have yourselves a great night. Look forward to being with you once again tomorrow night here on Sports Talk. Thank you, State, and thank you, Barry, Larkin, Belton, Honeypath. We'll see you tomorrow.